Welcome to the heretics and blasphemers, to the seekers of the unseen. You who have stepped beyond the borders of the conventional, we welcome you into the shadowed corridors of the occult and the profane. This is Unsanctioned, where the forbidden becomes knowledge and the boundaries are meant to be broken.
I am La Hechicera Len, who stands at the crossroads where spirits dwell and whisper secrets. Here we explore the symbols, spells, and stories that society fears to acknowledge.
And I am Sebastian, the sorcerer of annihilation. I believe in tearing down the false walls of illusion and embracing chaos. Together, we're here to shatter taboos and illuminate what lurks in the dark corners of folklore and magic. Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned, listeners. Today, we're diving into the world of love magic, and this is an interesting one. So love magic, it's a category of controversy. It's filled with passion, desire, and we see a lot of it from various traditions. So from love amulets to straight up soul bindings, we'll uncover the secrets behind love magic across cultures, its moral implications, and powerful tools like amarres and planetary magic that we practitioners have been using for literally centuries. I'm Sebastian, the Sorcerer of Annihilation. You can find me on social media at Sebas_the_storm on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, where I offer services like divination, spellwork, and sorcery for hire. Or check out my tattoo page for occult and witchcraft-oriented tattoos and ritualized tattoos.
I'm La Hechicera Len. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at Hechicera_Len.
Don't forget to leave a like or rating wherever you listen to Unsanctioned. It helps us to reach more people looking to travel down the path less taken.
All right, Sebastian, so let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so across cultures, we have seen some kind of love magic pop up in some way, shape, or form. And the historical perspective kind of changes quite a bit from century to century, from culture to culture on the morals of love magic, but we'll get to that a little bit later. We wanted to talk about some historical context of the love magics, if you will. And so some of the earliest ones we see go really far back. We see it as far back as early Iran, I believe, is where we start to see some love magic start to pop up here and there. And we see it inscribed in various ways, essentially talismanic in nature. And then we start to see some more pop up in like Kemetic magic. We see it in Hellenistic eras as well. So we see in like ancient Egypt, there are a few actually papyrus that have survived with talismans of drawings of like what looks like two figures or spirits or being brought together and then protected by like either a chain or being bound together by said chain. It's kind of hard to analyze some of these older papyri. And so we do know that it does come with an oral charm to like protect or to separate or to bring together people. And then we start to see some other stuff in the middle, since we're talking about Egypt and the Middle East. We see a couple of different Arabic talismans in various ways. So one of the ones is from a grimoire. I cannot share the name of said grimoire. However, you all can do your research. It's half the fun of figuring things out. But it shows the instructions for performing a love spell. And it includes writing symbols and letters, basically nomine barbara, like barbarous names, and reciting an incantation 81 times while stating the desired outcome, wrapping herbs and spices in paper talismans with increasing quantities, and burning the papers while chanting to inflame the heart of the target person with the person that you're doing the work for, whether it's you or a client. So That's one Arabic talisman. The other one is from another grimoire. Actually, this one involves the jinn. And so this one is a love spell with power of Safah, the daughter of Iblis. So this one you do need, you will actually write this talisman on an article of your target's clothing. So you do need to get it. You write the talisman on it, and then you twist the clothing into a wick and coat it with crude wax. Enter the bathroom and light the wick inside out while burning frankincense, bdellium, and sandrak. Then you commission the spirits of the names in the talisman to make the target fall in love. Thereupon, the target will fall in love and come to you. So we start to see things like that, which honestly is kind of like a really common setup for that type of work in what I've come to realize. And then we start getting into like grimoires, and your classical grimoire girlies will know that almost every grimoire has something to do with love at some point in there, whether that's a talisman or a spirit or something like that. And so, one of the easiest ones to get a hold of if you're interested in getting into classical grimoires is the Black Pullet. And literally, the first talisman is sorry, I'm lying. The second talisman it is, and I quote, gives the love and compliance of the entire female sex. It should be embroidered in silver on black satin. The evoking words Arnades, Sororaris, Maniner, pronounced with the ring, which should be on the middle finger of the left hand pressed against the lips. This conjuration ensures the manifestation of a genus with rose-colored wings, who, if addressed with the words Sader, Prostas, Solaster, will travel all space to transport you, the lady of your heart, though she were the queen of the Caliph's Seraglio. At the words Mames Lacha, she will be removed by 4 slaves. It will be observed that this is occult ribaldry. And so the talisman is kind of funny because when you look at it, the second one, which is supposed to be for that, um, it's kind of ironic because it looks more death oriented, um, or harvest, like very Saturnian, instead of like what you would think of like Venus. So it's like it does have like a flower in the middle. But to me, the flower looks like a few species of toxic plants, or toxic flowers, or poisonous flowers, I should say. And then you have like a straight up symbol of Saturn. You have these symbols written around, and then you have a skull and crossbones. You have a scythe, and then on the ring is a sun face, and then more symbols to write. So it's kind of funny because it does not give love at first glance to me. It's like definitely giving Saturn energy, heavily in my opinion.
And we can put like these images up on the Patreon as well for people to see.
Absolutely, yeah. Or listeners as well, if you aren't on the Patreon, which I don't know why you're not, the Black Pullet is available as a free PDF online as well, which I will drop that link in the Patreon as well. So either way, join the Patreon, to make it easier for yourself. With that being said, one of the other big grimoires that everybody knows and loves, PGM, the Greek Magical Papyri, has a few spells for love as well. So we see a quote unquote fetching love spell. I do not speak Greek, so I do not know how to pronounce these. But one of these instructs the user to take a seashell, write holy names with the blood of a black donkey, and recite a formula to attract the victim. The user should select the time to perform the ritual very carefully, as the spell has immediate effect. Um, then there is one that is for securing eternal love. Um, and so these kind of use is an oral charm, I believe. And so this sequence of words or syllables was believed to obtain the eternal love of a woman on the spot by invoking the god Labo. Um, so that's another one, which is Papyrus 148. The first one, by the way, is Papyrus 121 2, column 6. Uh, and then the last one is an excellent love charm. So this uses magical signs. So these symbols are like scattered throughout. And so the spell is described as an excellent love charm, or literally potion. It explains that a tin lamella should be engraved with some magical signs and names, rolled up with some magical materia, probably like a lock of hair or their clothing, and then thrown into the sea. um, and the practitioner should also remember to use a copper nail from a wrecked ship for writing. That's Papyrus 121 2, column 10.
That's a very specific, like, the nail from a wrecked ship? Why?
Which, taking the concept of like materia and its correlation or correspondence, I would use that to like fuck up somebody's love life. Don't know. If you're a Greek magical papyri girly, please let us know, because I don't. This
Like,
is
where's the
not.
thought process behind that? I
Yeah,
need to
that's.
know.
I love a classical grimoire. That was not one that I have utilized often, if ever. Um, but I do know some people who are obsessed with it, and I do have a friend who's obsessed with Greece and their stuff and classical grimoire. So I'm gonna actually ask them and be like, "Hey," and I will drop that what they say on the Patreon, because I do not know what the fuck that is for. Um, yeah, I'm like baffled. But with that being said, we can move forward. But yeah, so like we do see the context of love magic being portrayed over and over again through history. So like the overall message is that people want to be connected and experience love, just like today. However, they have some issues, if you will, attachment styles, if you will. Like you this is not a healthy way to do it in some of these grimoires or historical contexts. Not all of them, but like,
Are you sure?
like, yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think it's really healthy to have a spirit kidnap someone and bring them to
I
you.
agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's where we'll get into morals in a bit too, is like, what are the morals and ethics of all this? But I think before we get into that, we've kind of given y'all some examples from historical context. I think it's a good point to address what is love magic. And so I think love magic is a subset of obviously general magic. It's a category. It's aimed at obviously influencing love. Big surprise there. Attraction, emotional bonds. It's been practiced for a very long time by various cultures, as we just kind of went over. And usually, this intent is to like attract a lover or deepen existing relationships or even bind souls together. And so, while some view it as harmless or a way to enhance love, others see it as a powerful method that can definitely be used unethically, if you will, is the word that I'll use, or used banefully, malefically, are all words that could definitely be used to describe various cultures' view on love magic. Now, this isn't the case for all cultures. I just want to make that clear. Some cultures do see a time and place for love magic and see no negative, quote unquote, aspects to it. And love magic can take all the forms that magic can take. You've got your candles, you've got your dust, you've got your oils. amulets, talismans, rituals, charms, the whole nine yards is definitely there. But I think, you know, some a question for us to talk about before we kind of move on is like, what does love truly mean in the context of magic? Is it about genuine connection or is it about manipulation? And that leads us to the moral aspects of love magic. But before we get there, Len, what do you think?
It's both, so, depending on who you ask, of course. So, I mean, everyone's gonna have a different goal. Like, do you care if this person has feelings for you or not? Do you care, or is it just that you want to have a quick fuck with this person? Like, how? I don't know. It just yes and no. Because I think people romanticize the idea of what this perfect relationship. I'm talking specifically people that have come to me asking for love magic, asking for like an amarre. Because I had a friend of mine come to me once asking, like, hey, I want to like this. I'm in love with this man. I need you to help me. I need you to do this for me. And I'm like, girl, I like it doesn't sound like he loves you. And if you want me to do this specific thing, it's not gonna make him love you. He'll be obsessed with you, but it's not gonna make him love you. Um, and she was not happy with the results, as expected, as I told her. Um, so yes, she wanted that connection, but people have to understand going into it, if it's not there, it's not there.
Heavy on that. I mean, truly, in my own opinion, um, I'm going to say that one more time, listeners. In my own opinion, love magic is about manipulation. There is no genuine connection. Um, w- w- if it was a genuine connection, you wouldn't have to force it.
That goes into like, okay, yes, because there are also like, from my understanding of, because my entire perspective in magic in general is just Latin American folk magic and brujeria. And there are spells to invite love to you, to draw things in without targeting a specific person. So, like, yes, both are true. Like, if you're targeting a specific person, that's manipulation. But if you are, the goal is just to invite romance, to invite love, to invite sex, whatever it is, it's still, that's more about the connection than the targeting a specific person.
Yes, and it's funny that you say that because that was going to be my next thing is that like because I have an essence that I used to sell called Blood Rain. Um, and it was specifically for that. Like it was to invite love and it was meant to, first of all, put you through the ringer because it is to make you realize, oh, wait, like I have these tendencies to do blah, blah, blah in said relationships and destroy it. Or I'm looking for this because of trauma and not actually love. Like I'm looking for people who put me in survival situations because I that's all I know. But making you go through something that makes you realize all that in order for you to find said person or persons to assist you or like to be the love that you're looking for. But it doesn't affect an outside source, right? This doesn't target a person and doesn't bring them to you. It works on you by helping you realize things so that way you can be in better places and be in the correct place mentally, emotionally, all those things in order to invite love in properly. Because even if love comes to you and you're in a really bad state of mind, that's going to miss you. And so Blood Rain was a blend of like certain herbs to assist in that process, and it works really, really well. Um, and then you do bring up something as well. I think for me, there is like a difference between personally like an amare or not an amare, but like love magic, and then like getting somebody to for like a quick fuck, right? Like just sex magic in that regard. As someone who used to be a sex worker, that is like something um, that I utilized. and was a very functional thing, but I wouldn't, for me personally, there wasn't like the love aspect in there, because there weren't those feelings there for that person. That's not how that worked for me. Um, but I think that is kind of like where we talk about like, yes, like love magic is both, but um, it depends on how you're kind of using the tool. Like, because at the end of the day, like love magic is just a tool. So whether you're using the tool to create artwork or to hold someone hostage is entirely the point that moves it in one direction or the other. Yeah, the ethics of love magic, right? So, whether or not that should be free, spontaneous, free of manipulation, or should it be forced? So is it ethical to influence someone's feelings? Could it infringe on their free will? How do you, as a practitioner, responsibly use love magic? So I guess I'll start with that. Is like, Len, do you think it's ethical to influence someone's feelings?
As a normal person, as as a folk Catholic, no. As a bruja, as an hechicera, I don't care. Like, because it's now, me personally, I wouldn't do that for myself. Um, but I already admitted that I have done it for a friend, and I don't care if other people come to me about it. Like, for the right price, I'll do it.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Exactly, exactly. Because I, of course, will tell you ahead of time, this is what to expect. This will most likely be the outcome. Are you okay with that? And like at some point, I'm just gonna have to like pull up like a legal document and be like, hey, don't sue me over this. I told you about this already. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think do what you want. Like as witches, as practitioners, do whatever you want to do. Like you are within your, I don't want to say rights, but like within your power to do so. Like just do it. Um, but also be careful.
We're not here to tell you what to do. We're just telling you about this, okay?
Right, right,
And
right, right.
our own personal experiences and outlooks, right? So, like, I agree that I really don't give a fuck about influencing people's feelings. But when it comes to love specifically, I don't do that. Um, I just have seen it go sideways way too much. Um, And truthfully, this is just my own experience. I'm not saying there aren't successful works out there. Um, I've never seen a actual healthy, successful amarre or like love magic done ever. So yeah, for me personally, in my practice, I'm not gonna do that shit. Now, if you come to me and pay me enough, money talks. Listen,
The price is right.
if the price is right,
Yeah.
then listen, I will pull out all the stops. But I cannot be held responsible for how things are going to go. And you will sign that waiver. So my spirit said, yeah, we will be held responsible. You do it. You deal with the consequences. And don't come crying to me and be like, I want this undone. I will, but now that's going to be even more expensive. Um, but yes, as a practitioner, I think, it's more within your power to do whatever the fuck you want. And really, you know, here at Unsanctioned, it's about breaking taboos. So if you want to fuck around and find out, please go fuck around and find out. Um, I we are saying this because we have fucked around and found out. Um, through and we'll talk about other experiences in a bit, for me to explain that, but like, talking about it, could it infringe on free will? Some people believe that you can't affect people's free will with magic, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you clearly have not done a number of type of spells. You're clearly staying in a very niche corner. Um, and you're also limiting yourself because yes, it definitely can infringe on free will. And that's where we end up with like people who end up like zombified, if you will, robotic. And we'll talk about like that kind of experience later too. Um, go ahead.
Which, like, ladies, women, femmes, everyone, subjugate that man. Turn him into a zombie. Do it. Do it. Do it for fun. Now, I'm happy in my relationship. I am. I would never do that. But like, have fun. Just, I don't know, fuck people over. No, don't do that.
Pause.
Pause.
uh,
Take a step back.
I will say this. You know, if you are looking to dive into this, I would fuck around with it, but not truly in the sense of like trying to find somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with. Um, yeah. So if
Yeah.
you want to fuck, like, listen, femmes, girlies, they, thems, gays, all of you, listen to this very carefully when I say this. Use this to get the men to give you all their money, to pay for all your shit, to do all of that and get the good sex out of it. And then when you're done and bored, drop them. Which
That.
also means undo
Exactly
the spell
that.
work. You do need to undo the spell work. You need to undo the spell work. You cannot just be like, okay, I'm done. Thank you. Next. That will not end well. You need to end the spell work. Okay. Probably throw in a little bit of a banishing in there just in case any of it remains after. You need to.
You
Please.
might have to do a banishing regardless.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we hate men.
Yes.
Uh,
Because, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, 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 go ahead.
But like my understanding of like amarres love magic is from like learning from Laura Davila, like learning from her books, from her classes. She has said that she mentioned in her first book that amarres were a way for a women as a minority group to have power to ensure that their basic needs were met, even if it was with a horrible person. To ensure that they had a home, to ensure they had money. Like, I don't know. That's why I get like when people are like, "Don't do it. It's wrong." Who are you to say that? Like, people have to do these things to survive. But also, what we were saying earlier, play around, have fun.
Girl, in this economy,
Exactly. Exactly.
listen, if that white man has a lot of money, you make that money yours. Make
Make
that
sure
money
you're in
yours.
that will.
Speaking of men, and I think I just got a notification that Mr. Beast died.
What?
I think Mr. Beast is dead. Um, breaking. Mr. Beast has apparently perished in a tragic something related accident. Maybe. Could be fake. In today's society, you never know. We've had a number of celebrities, quote unquote, die, and they're like, "No, that's fake. I'm still here." So we'll see. Um, crazy to look over at that. Um,
Just did a quick Google search. That rumor has been around since 2023. It keeps coming and
okay,
going.
okay, cool. Mr. Beast, why do you have so many people who want you dead? They have your obituary ready.
Isn't he like really rich? Like, is
Yeah.
kill him
Listen,
allegedly.
allegedly, you want to work your amare, get that money. Mr. Beast is a good target.
There's a very public white
Allegedly,
man that will work for that. Allegedly.
allegedly. Um, So I mean, we've kind of talked about our thoughts on love magic already, personally, for both of us. But I think too, like you'll see too that especially in today's day and age, modern quote unquote witches with the rose quartz up their pussy advocate for like love spells without interfering with someone's free will, which is possible, but like there's only so much you can do in that regard before you start interfering with someone. Like if you have someone in mind, you are probably going to do a work that targets said person, which will probably affect their free will. Um, and also like a lot of modern witches, this is like funny that I use this example, but like they truly think rose quartz will solve all of their love problems. Um, and I'm like, girl, please please open a book. Go touch some grass. Please touch some
A rose
grass.
scented bath bomb with rose quartz in the center. It's, yeah.
Yep. Rose petals, pink candles everywhere, um, all of that, and they're just absolutely just like giant pink rose quartz columns on the corners of their bathtub. Um, at this point, their bathtub is probably made out of rose quartz. Like if you've ever met somebody who's like, my God, and
Have you
it's always
actually seen those bathtubs that are
yes,
made out of? They look so uncomfortable. Like
yeah.
that looks like it cuts.
Um, the Denver Gem Show comes once a year, and they have them. Insane. They do not look comfortable. Um, Also, it's always funny to me that I'm sorry, the pup is drinking water if you can hear that. It's insane to me because it's always the same exact type of femme that is like into I'm a love witch adorned in rose quartz. I'm a devotee of Aphrodite and I practice love magic. Um, and all they do is like throw rose quartz around everywhere for everything, and they're doing lines of quartz powder, um, and they are like chugging their Starbucks, and um, just absolutely covered in copper and copper wire jewelry. And they're the ones who are like obsessed with love magic.
I don't think the people that you're referring to do enough research to understand that copper is relevant. I don't think they know that. I think they're just like gold jewelry, pink, everything pink and red. Yeah. They don't care enough to do the research.
Hearts on everything.
Yeah.
Everything has to be heart shaped. The rose quartz that they put up their pussy is in the shape of a heart.
Hmm.
Yeah. They definitely are snorting rose quartz powder, like I said. Any
Hmm.
pink crystal. Honestly, they don't even care if it's artificial, as long as it's pink. They have it. Okay. Um,
They
Pink
assume everything
tapestry.
pink is rose quartz.
Yeah. Um, if that sounds like you, the shoe fits, run with it, bitch. Um, but I think on that note, some people do believe like it's meant to help manifest true love. Like we've kind of addressed that. But others can definitely use it for survival, for baneful work, for it's like malefic, it's manipulative, and it needs to be. And there is that time and place for that. And so I think, one of the most well known, I wouldn't go as well known. Well, I guess by like ratio of population, maybe well known. I don't think a lot of American, maybe English speaking practitioners know about this a lot, especially those who aren't Latino. But, you know, a really big practice is the amarre. You've heard us talk about this
Hmm.
all episode already. Amarres. And so love spells, or like a specific type of love magic, if you will, of Latin culture, and can be used in a variety of ways. But and from my understanding, typically amarres are like binding two people together, to bring them together, to bring that love together. And I have seen amarres done to like strengthen the bonds or like rekindle love. And I've all which this is typically done through a variety of ways. But go ahead.
But also, like, if you're wanting to rekindle something, amares can be intense. Like, why an amare? There's so many other things that you could use for that. Um, but I know that like a common misconception is that people think that amares are just any type of love magic in brujeria. That is not true. Um, Amares are specifically with a physical tie. So either a representation of the two people is tied together or something, but there has to be a physical knot made for it to be considered an amare. Otherwise, it's just a love spell and an hechizo for love.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is where things get fun, if you will. And so we can start talking about like different types of amares, different examples of amares, um, and how that works. Um, but yeah, Lynn, are there any examples that you want to talk about first?
I have a few. Um, so people know of this already. Um, the panty water, the agua del calzón. The you boil um underwear that you've worn overnight with some other ingredients, and you make sure, like, you have to make sure that the person you want to dominate or you want to make fall in love with you drinks it. Like, they have to drink it. Allegedly. Don't do that. For legal purposes, don't do that. But like,
Allegedly.
allegedly. You have to allegedly make them drink it. Um,
Before we
there's the
continue, I just want to reference listeners. Amares and other types of love magic can definitely get a little gnarly. Yeah, they can definitely have some aspects of them that are a little intense. Definitely, some people will feel uncomfortable, and for legal reasons, we are going to continue to use the word allegedly. But yeah,
and it reminds me of, have you seen the movie Midsommar?
not all the way.
Okay. So there is a love spell that is very, very similar to the panty water thing, done in that movie. Um, it's if you've seen the movie, you know. If you know, you know. We'll move on. Um, I know that we also have some books that are about brujeria and um, Mexican folk magic. Um, so I'm going to start with Alexis Arredondo's Magia Magia, um, by Alexis Arredondo and Eric Labrado. They have a chapter specifically dedicated to love magic, and there's a lot of things in there. There's like 4 or 5 different workings in there. Some of them are pretty simple, some of them are a little more complex. Um, there's also spirits that are recommended to reach out to for love magic. So the first one mentioned is Saint Anthony, um, then La Anima Sola, and the Holy Souls of Purgatory. There's also a working in here with a cigarette to get someone to call you. It's not exactly love magic, but it's a way to get you in their mind to get them to get in contact with you. Um, there's a spell in here with a chuparosa to make like an amuleto, and there's also a amare in here too. Um, the amare is probably the more complex thing working in this book. Um, the rest are pretty simple. Like, there's an hechizo to keep you on their mind, which all you do is get a red thread and stitch it into something that they wear, but you have to hide it. You have to make sure that they can't see it. Because if it falls out or if they like pull it out, then it's useless. Like, it doesn't do anything anymore. Um, so there's that.
I think with stuff like that too, when they're like, you have to make sure they don't like find it. Like, I'm sorry, try having to explain that to your partner, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I put you under a love spell." Yeah, they're gonna leave.
Yeah.
So there is like that. Besides the fact of like, oh, well, it's not gonna work. Yeah, because it's one. So okay, backing up a little bit. For those of you who are a little confused, my spirits are telling me to explain. Some spells need to be out of a person's mind in order to work. So they can become cognito hazards essentially, which is like when you become aware of something, it changes your cognition, it changes reality. So if you, okay, for example, think of a those like not like what is it called, like where it's like, oh, optical illusion, where it's like, oh, the train is going in one direction, and then but then after a few seconds a new like little text pops up, and it's like, oh, you can trick your mind to see the train going in both directions. And so if I didn't tell you that you could trick your mind into, I'm sorry. The puppy is playing with his loudest possible toy right now. Um, so apologies, listeners. But if I didn't tell you that you could do that, you probably wouldn't be aware, unless you did it on accident. But if I told you, then you were like, oh, yeah, I can switch it back and forth. Then you're aware of the optical illusion, and you can't go back to not knowing about the optical illusion and how it works, that you can change both directions of the train. So some magic works the same way. It needs to be not known by your target, because if your target becomes aware, then the spell no longer works. It becomes dismantled. It becomes void through various means. It could be through like unknown pacts, unknown spirits that are working through it, various ways. But basically, long story short, yeah, the spell will not work, because also if you did that, then you know there's a work on you. The person will probably leave you. A smart person would also go get a limpia and like an uncrossing and like all this other stuff at banishing. So yeah, the spell will no longer work. But I digress. Okay.
I didn't know if you wanted to go into it, but the workings from Blood of
Oh
Brujeria.
yeah. So Blood of Brujeria is the second book by the same people of Magia Magia. It's fantastic. I love it. Number of great workings. Besides the fact that I love the series, like all of the Conjure South like covers are amazing. But they also have a number of works in here. So like the first one that they talk about is protecting your love, and they use the hexagramma or the hexagram. And so with this, they say like literally in the first line of this is, an amare is probably the most difficult of the three aspects to stay protected from. They can be even more powerful and dangerous than death spells. So it, just keep that in mind, listeners. So when we talk about an amare, we talk about being protected from the curse of an amare, right? Um, Now, we've talked about in the past like the inversion of curses and blessings and how that makes them related, but that's just a little seed for you to have in your head as a practitioner and use some critical thinking. Now, it says here that like this is well, first of all, the hexagram could, especially in Latino culture, could take an entire book on its own. But the way this one works is by like working through duality, and all this other stuff. And so you'll need like a hexagram, and six candles, and it's used for like protection. And this is like something you can use. Now, one thing I don't like is that it says here, and I get that like historically that was the case, but the hexagram represents the duality of man and woman. I cross that shit out in the book. And if y'all think I'm kidding, for those of you who watch the podcast, I cross that shit out. I am so tired of binary bullshit like that. Um, anyway, moving on, they also have a section on datura, sorry, datura. And so this is a really infamous plant ally, especially to Mexico, Central America, South Central United States, and so this is comes from the Nahuatl word tolotzin, which is for bow the head. Tolo Toloache is known as Datura inoxia in America. And so this is like first and foremost highly toxic. Keep that in mind, listeners. I'm going to read this warning from the book, and it also is us reading the warning to you and telling you the warning. We do not encourage the growth, sale, or use of this plant or its byproducts for recreational purposes and or medicine or any of that. So there's that. But if you allegedly used it, it was very much utilized to basically be allegedly placed in the lover's food in very small amounts to cause your lover to have undying feelings of love. And so this makes them obsessed with you. And you could also do this by making a liquid of it and doing that in their water or their drinks, which is also something that I had like heard before this. And so that's definitely one. And so one of the other ones that they have in the book is the Chuparosa and Santa Muerte domination. And so this is one that it is also to basically make someone be dominated and obsessed with you and never want to leave you ever. Keep that in mind though, because like if things go south, this person's never going to want to leave you ever. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using
I
this.
think for emphasis, sorry to cut you off. I
Go
think
ahead.
for emphasis, just to emphasize the point of this, read the last 2 or 3 lines of the prayer to Santa Muerte for that working.
Absolutely. Annoy him. um, no, okay. So I'm just gonna read. No, sorry. I was trying to see if I was allowed to read the entire thing or not. Okay, so last 3 lines are don't leave target's name a single quiet moment. Annoy them every moment. Mortify them and disturb them so that they always think of me always. Amen. Así sea. Así sea. Um, yeah, so that is that prayer. And then there is another part to it where the second prayer that you say, last few lines, again, let them drown in their anxiety so that they feel hanged when they don't see me. And may I be the only relief in their life from those sensations forever and ever. Amen. Just keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, they also have a separation trabajo. Like I think people forget love magic isn't just bringing two people together, it's also destroying love. The inversion is always there. So you can always separate people, you can always cause divorces, you can always cause breakups, you can always banish the couple, you can always banish the love that they have for each other. These are all methods that are present in Blood of Brujeria. So highly recommend it. It's a great book either way. Yeah.
I think that's all of the Latin brujeria specific stuff. So I see that you have some other stuff that you want to talk about. So let's tell me a little bit more about the Venusian magic and planetary influences in love related sorcery.
Absolutely. So this is where things are going to get fun because we all know that the same bitch that I talked about earlier, covered in copper and rose quartz and pink, is gonna be like, oh my god, I love Venus and I perform Venus magic and I blah blah blah. No, 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 not what we're talking about. Moving into actual Venus magic and planetary influence is something to take into account with romantic love magic, but also just love magic in general. But one thing I do want to say is that it's kind of funny because, yes, Venus is typically correlated to love in a number of different cultures, but we also see that sometimes Mars is as well. And that's there's different reasons for that, and I think one of them is because of like for example, in a certain grimoire, I can't say the name of the grimoire, uh, a certain Arabic grimoire, it does give you planetary correspondences, and like Venus is actually not really seen to be the best for love. It's more like Mars or even Jupiter, just due to the way that they rule. And Venus is actually seen as a more masculine planet, whereas Mars is actually a more feminine planet in this grimoire. Yeah, which is funny because like I kind of feel the same way. Um, Maybe that's just because I'm a faggot. But that's just a side note that I wanted to put out, that like definitely if you guys are going to do Venus magic or planetary magic, be careful with like which like lens or tradition you're coming from, because it can be different. Like don't immediately think depending on your tradition that Venus will be the planet of love. Now overall, yes. Were you going to say something, Len?
I'm gonna say it. Start saying it. If I get cut off, then I know I need to save it for later. Um, that what you said about Mars and Venus being like femme, Mars being more femme, Venus being more mask. Very Xochipilli and Xochiquetzal. Xochipilli, gay, 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 gay. Same thing for Xochiquetzal. She's very for the lesbians, very for the butches, very for the dykes.
Very, very.
Very.
And out of all the spirits, they would be the ones to not interrupt you and be like, no. They said, no, talk some more, talk some more. Yes, bitch. But yeah, okay. So when we talk about actual Venus and planetary influences, using Venusian planetary hours, planetary days are definitely something to take into account. So Fridays during the hour of Venus will be like a really good moment for this type of magic, whether that's to attract love, enhance love, deepen romantic connections, or even like I think people forget that one part of love magic is glamour magic, like to make you more appealing to whoever your target is. Keep in mind, there is a target, even if it's multiple people. Um, Now, there's nothing wrong with that. We love good glamour magic. Glamour magic can do great things for you. Now, performing these rituals during the Venus hour, calling on Venusian spirits. So there are a number of grimoires with different spirits associated with Venus, whether that's demons, angels, other types of spirits that we kind of see named, whether they have a category or not. Using the symbols of Venus, so like the planetary intelligence, the Venus Kamea, which is like the planetary square, and then using talismans associated with Venus. So, number of different grimoires with different planetary seals. Of course, we all know that I'm obsessed with a good pentacle of the planets. So, using the pentacles of Venus works wonders for this. Now, one of the things I would say is like if I were to use Venusian pentacles, is that like some of them work really good at binding two things together. And this doesn't even need to be love magic. It's like super glue. You can glue two things together with this pentacle. So yes, you can use it for people, but you can also use it for like if you're trying to get a apartment, basically binding yourself to the apartment so nobody else can get it, and it's pretty much yours is like a thing for sure. And the pentacles are wonderful, and they all kind of come with their own description. Experiment with them. Fuck around and find out. The Venus ones are pretty straightforward, but some of them are like, oh, you have to like wear it on your left arm. So like experiment with it, talk with your spirits and be like, okay, well, like I can't go to work with this pentacle on my left arm because I wear a short sleeve shirt. Um, what can I do instead? And like this is like one of the things you should be doing with your spirits anyway. Is like, okay, well, how can I further this pentacle? How can I work this pentacle in unique ways? What's the best way that you would utilize this pentacle? What's the best way for me to like what's the difference between it being on the right versus the left, or the left versus the right? Um, you know, versus it in my pocket versus it in my chest pocket versus it in my wallet. What are the things that are going to change these aspects? Because those are all circumstances and conditions that are going to change all of those things. But you can, coming back to love magic, use a lot of these Venus ones to make you more appealing, to make you not only for love, but also work, or like things like that. But also if you're going to like bind two people together, you can do that. If you want to keep it generic, what you could do is like bind yourself to the concept of love or like finding love. But like if you're not careful with your verbiage, this is where we get into like occult linguistics. If you're not careful with your verbiage, you'll constantly be finding love. Do you understand what that means? You will constantly be finding love, meaning either relationships will constantly end because you're constantly finding new love, and it's constantly coming in and being refreshed. By refreshed, I mean like new again, like this person here. Okay, now we've got a new one. 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 And it's going to keep going because you bound yourself to constantly finding new love. Or it can be like you're with a person and you're constantly falling in love with other people. And so that's something to be careful of when we talk about occult linguistics as well. I just want to make a quick note because we kind of skipped over it on accident. But there are actually a lot of similarities between conjure, hoodoo, and some of the stuff that we do in like Latin American magic. So just keep that in mind, listeners. You definitely there are like works, moving on from Venus. There are works where you take like the person's underwear and you sweep them from the front door to your bedroom um, under your bed. You take your target's underwear, preferably worn heavily, and you do that while reciting certain psalms and prayers. There is ones where you take the underwear again. Lots of underwear here. Don't know how you're supposed to be getting people's underwear if you're not with them, but
You're not breaking into people's houses for this? Like,
not for underwear, for other things, allegedly.
okay, fair for
um,
allegedly.
but what you could do is to kind of come back to some of the things that we've talked about being a cunning practitioner is like you could take the underwear and then baptize it in the name of the person, or basically put their name 9 times in the underwear, and then do that. But I digress. Take the person's underwear, take red string, tie it the fuck up with your name, or with your own underwear, or what is a common thing too is that you will actually put your fluids onto the red string that you're going to use, and then tie that around um, the person's underwear or their name or their picture, is something as well. And then also talking about love magic and it being the opposite, doing things to make sure that the person cannot like finish unless it's with you, is like another thing that is like common in love magic, is like basically curses of like, um, oh gosh, what's the word for it? There's like a specific word I am looking for. Um, anyway, but stuff like that is definitely something that is a part of love magic. And one of the other ones that I wanted to reference was actually from Benabel Wen's book, The Tao of Craft, Food Talismans and Crafting Sigils in the Eastern Esoteric Tradition. If you are looking to get into Taoist magic, anything Benabel Wen, highly recommend. This book I've had for years, and she is used and abused. Um, Amazing book. But in this, we have on page 97 a talisman for prosperous love, figure 4.33. I'm going to show it to the camera. Um, yeah. So this is the talisman. And so when you're doing this, let me see where it is actually a reference so I can talk about it correctly. Okay, so in figure 4.3333, prosperous love, the topmost glyph is double happiness. So this is usually used for like marital concepts in talismans. And then we have the earth and heaven trigrams from the I Ching or the Bagua. And then we have the glyphs for dragon and phoenix. And so the dragon and phoenix shown together were like a union, specifically like a civic union. So like a husband and wife concept there. And which is like the idealized romantic relationship. And so there are also glyphs of like abundance, material wealth, happiness, and prosperity for the couple. The foundation of the Fu shows sun, moon, and stars, which is like destiny, union. And then we get into like the precise manner in which it's produced. So in talismans, there are specific orders things have to be written, typically. So like you would start with certain parts of the talisman first, and then work your way around. And so that is like one of the ways to do it. And the way that like, you have to, you can't just draw the talisman and it's on like this food talisman and it works, right? You have to actually bless it and consecrate it and turn it on. So the way I would do that would be like drawing it and writing it on the day and hour of Venus, suffocating it with incense of Venus. So like herbs of Venus would be another way to turn that talisman on, and things like, and reciting for this specific one would be like mantras related to romance, which they have on page 216 a customized invocation for love or romance. So grant the, and I quote, grant the power of the white peony to, quote, name of beneficiary or recipient of the Fu sigil, bring love and romance to into their life, is the kind of like invocation that you would use. So you could recite that, and I would probably recite that 108 times because that is the number that we use for mantras typically, or a division of 108 is something that we typically use in Taoist sorcery. And if I were you, I would use, if you're looking to remove obstacles for love, is I would use that in tandem with the Ganesha or Ganapati mantras or talismans, because he will remove those obstacles that are keeping you from all of that as well. Let's talk about this first and foremost. Let's talk about warding against love magic.
No, let people figure it out on their own.
This is how we're going to do this. You're just going to buy my book. Problem solved.
Exactly. No, but I mean, we already kind of touched on that. There was something that we mentioned earlier that is, if you were paying attention and if you, um, yeah, it was mentioned earlier. There's another one in that same book. Instead of the symbol that you mentioned, there's also a talisman that can be made with the Eye of Horus or some Like in the book specifically, they recommend using it as jewelry, so like a necklace or a ring, but with the symbol of the Eye of Horus. Um, for this, you specifically need it, like you need a silver or gold piece of jewelry, and just a single candle, the same color as the piece of jewelry. Um, and it's supposed to keep you protected. They do also mention in Blood of Brujeria that there are other amulets that they reference from Magia, like the Tetragrammaton and the Cruz de Caravaca. Both of those things would also work to. Those are just kind of like all-purpose protection talismans. So like they'll help you protect against anything. You just have to tell it.
I did want to say this too, like speaking on the Eye of Horus. Um, the Eye of Horus, in my opinion, and my experience with Arabic magic, Egyptian magic, um, you could also use the Eye of Horus for finding love if you are gay, because there is a myth of basically Horus and Set fucking. And it's like a battle essentially. Um,
Wait, tell me more.
they're like, which newsflash, that's his uncle. And basically, they're trying to get the other one to finish first, because like basically, if you were seen, it wasn't seen as like negative, but if you were the one taking it, it was seen as negative. So if you were the bottom, you were the problem. And so it's like a whole
Always
thing.
shaping the bottoms.
Always, as we should. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Everyone. We, but the other spirit that I would recommend for if you work in the Egyptian pantheon would be Sobek. Um, Now people don't understand. Like Horus is like the twink. Um, Sobek is like the muscle daddy. Okay, and let me explain. Okay, the reason why Sobek, I associate him with queerness is because when Osiris was chopped up and scattered across Egypt, his penis ended up in the Nile, and Sobek ate it. And so that's why crocodiles do not have tongues, is because as punishment, his tongue was removed. Because it was seen as like one of the biggest crimes is to like commit cannibalism against your fellow gods. But Sobek also represents like primal nature, so it's like in your nature to suck dick, to be gay. um, Yeah, so there is that aspect as well, which I know that we were talking about warding, which we'll get back to, but I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like we didn't really talk about like specifically queer like love magic. Um, which as two queer people, I just want you all to know, at least from my own perspective, any of the love magic you find can be changed to be queer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there is historical queer context of um, love magic. It's just the reason why it's kind of hard is because like thank you, old dead white men who studied anthropology and history. When they would find these talismans, of course they were like, "Ugh, this must be a man and a woman," and then you're like, wait, wait, this is definitely not a man and woman. So they're best friends, okay, and they were roommates.
And they
Um,
were roommates.
but yeah, also when you are warding against love magic, you have to be careful too because you don't want to close yourself off. Because what you can do is like ward so heavily and so stiffly that you keep yourself from finding love as well. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Um, but now we can talk about personal experiences if you don't have anything else to add to warding.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add, so tell me, Sebastian. Tell me about your experiences with love magic.
So the first one comes from a story from my mother, and this is the story in which why I do not fuck with this shit because it's so fucking scary to me. So for one of my mom's birthdays, her younger sister, who was like super into all the things witchy but like low key, took them all to a psychic. Um, and so they went to this psychic's house because that's where her shop was, and they went to go get readings, tarot readings. But um, when they were there, the woman's husband was there, but everyone says that he had no life in his eyes. He would not move unless instructed. He was like nearly like comatose essentially, but like standing. Um, and so they said that like there were moments where he would just kind of like stand there and like not do anything. And it was only when she would say something to him that he would like move and function, but his eyes would still be dead and like glossed over and like non-existent. Like there was no life there. That was just a corpse that was moving. And so at one point, like my mom is noticing all this, and the lady turns to her and goes, "If you want, I can teach you how to make your husband like that too, because I did that to him." And she's like saying all that, and that's just really ugly to me. Like personally, that's like so gross and scary and like ill. Now, would I love to know what she did to use it for other things? Yes, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of the Colombian and Caribbean practice of like zombies. And like, turning someone into a zombie and they don't even know what's going on through various materia and like the whole fun blow in your face aspect, which is it's just been such a scary like concept that like really ingrained itself in me for some reason. And like I just yeah. And almost every time I've had somebody tell me about love magic, it's like through that lens is like the other person ends up like zombified, comatose, pretty much drooling out of their mouth because they just can't control like their own body anymore. Um, they're just a corpse that's moving around essentially is what it ends up becoming at some point. It's just been my own experience with multiple practitioners telling me about their own experiences with love magic.
It's violent. These amarres, these domination workings, they're violent. They are meant to subjugate these people to you. Like they it is not to be taken lightly, but like also fuck around and find out.
Yeah, and I think that's like the thing though is like people definitely romanticize it, right? So they're like, "Oh, yes, I'm going to have like the most perfect Hallmark movie relationship." And it's like, dude, that's not a human you're with anymore. You're just with a puppet. Which in certain cases, like we've talked about in cases of survival is necessary, and if you want to fuck around and find out, we're not going to tell you no. But listen, it takes a lot to make me uncomfortable. And that type of shit just does not sit well with me. Like, I have allegedly no problem causing a certain type of flood that does something to a couple hundred people. But this, I draw the line. um, no, it's just really, it's scary. It can be really scary because people don't understand how this works. And I think that's really where the problem lies is people, like I said, romanticize it and then they don't understand what's going on and then shit like this happens. And then I've also had an experience where a coven mate once, a long time ago, was not careful with sigil magic and used it on a group of men because she wanted one of them to love her. And then they all became disgustingly, horrifyingly obsessed with her. And they were all machismo and they would like find where she was and like stalk her and find her dorm and like try and break in essentially. So please be careful because there are experiences of this leading to unsavory experiences for you as the caster.
So my question is, why was the sigil over the group of men if it was targeting a specific man?
This person was very new to magic and had just learned about sigils and did not come to me before. Not that you need to, but like as a coven, I think it would have been better for you to come talk to me about something you are unsure of. And then I could have been like, yeah, let's walk through this. I'm not going to tell you no, you still have to fuck around and find out. But then it ended up my problem anyway because she came to me and she was like, I need help. I need to undo all this like stuff that I've done. Like, and they're like scary. They're doing crazy shit. They're being like insane towards her, like all this stuff. So definitely would have loved at least to have been a part of that because I definitely would have been like, why would you do it to all the men? And then one of the wards or one of the sigils was like to all the men on campus. Um, and so like, yeah, it was like a whole thing. Um,
Girl.
I had a lot to undo with that one. And somehow they found out that I did brujeria. So that made my job even harder.
Well, I think, did you have anything else that you wanted to share? Any personal workings, any other stories?
Not really, because I don't have a lot. I really try to avoid doing this type of work if possible. Again, unless the money's really, really good and most people aren't willing to pay the amount that I will charge for it, because it's not that I don't think it'll work. I know it'll work, which is why I'm charging as much as I am for doing something that I really don't want to. And usually when I've talked to the client and I sit there and we actually have a serious conversation, by the end of it, they're like, yeah, I don't want love magic. That's not what I want. I want this instead. Because usually people don't know what they want. They want to be told what they want most of the time. And so sometimes as a practitioner, you have to sit there and be like, okay, are you sure this is what you want? Like, this is how it's going to be. I can't be held responsible. And then you kind of explain everything. And then they're like, no, actually, I want something else. Or you get the ones that are stubborn and they're like, yes, do it. Um, that's all. You?
Which is why I just won't do workings for someone as soon as they ask for it. We're going to sit and talk about it. You need to tell me everything that's going on. Even if you don't tell me, I will find out because I will be told if you're lying to me.
Perfect. Well, then, I think we have an episode. With that being said, next week on Unsanctioned, I had an aneurysm there, we'll explore and discuss the role of sacrifice in magic with Genesis. So we will analyze rituals involving sacrifice, what sacrifice means, its symbolism, and the moral dilemmas, of course, or lack thereof, because we're not going to tell you what to do or how to think. Now, with that being said, I do want to don't forget to join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/unsanctioned. UNS is capitalized, where we have 3 tiers for you to embark upon: the heretic, the malefactor, and the blasphemer. The heretic is only at $3 a month. The malefactor is at $8 a month, and the blasphemer is at $13 a month. And you get a lot of different things, such as access to the post show. You get Q&As, access to spell work, access to our Discord server, group spell work from either of us, your name read in the credits, and a small merch item sent at different tiers. So please don't forget to do that, and please don't forget to interact with us.
And at this time, we would like to thank our Patreon supporters at the Blasphemer tier by name. To Pablo Rodriguez, thank you so much for your support and walking with us on the path less traveled. We have an email. Use it. Email us at podcastunsanctioned@gmail.com. Send us your stories. Tell us about things.
Send us your questions, send us your situations. One thing that we are going to start doing once you guys start sending us these things is that at the end of every episode, we'll share how we as practitioners would handle your situations, questions, etc., and your experiences. So you can see how different practitioners would approach the same problem or challenge. But make sure to actually send them in. You can send them into our Gmail. Please use them, use it. If you join us over on Patreon, you're more than welcome to drop it over there as well. But yeah, that will be unsanctioned, and we'll see you over in the post show.
And we want to hear from you. Share your stories, encounters with spirits, or your own forbidden rituals. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Unsanctioned Podcast, or email us directly at podcastunsanctioned@gmail.com.
Remember, what's considered taboo is often where strength and power lies. Stay unbound, stay unsanctioned.
Until next time, walk boldly into the shadows.
And let the forbidden be your guide.